How's it going, everyone? Mufara here. Welcome to Heliopolis Radio. I hope you enjoy the content. Peace and blessings to the people. Yes. How's it going, everyone? Mufara here. Thanks for tuning into this podcast. And I know it's been some time. It's been 3 weeks or so. Basically, I just had a couple of obligations, which I basically turned into excuses not to be doing this, which I deeply regret because I didn't realize how much I actually enjoy this, just sitting here and talking into a microphone. Who knew this shit was so fun? But now we're back at it full time, and we are dedicated to the process. I hope that I shall continue to essentially, I guess, enhance my content, and not my content, but the content on this podcast. Apologies, poor choice of words there. I guess what I have been doing, though, I haven't been completely neglecting this. I've been trying to get the material ready. It's just translating it into the podcast is always a tricky part. It requires a bit more dedication and devotion. So I look back at the last few podcasts that I've done and definitely wasn't there. And so I guess now I'm thinking this new process I'm going to be trying will be more refined and more steady, if I could use that word. But this is a retrospect podcast. But before that, I hope you've all been keeping well. It's been, I can definitely attest to this. It's been a trying time for everyone, I would assume. Maybe some it's been less, and for some, for others more. But such is life. I definitely know that there's a lot of madness. That is so hard to actually just focus on, taking care of your own business, really. And so, I hope, everyone's, I guess, keeping steady with the whole shifts and changes that are happening around us. And that, for the most part, you're finding some type of joy within yourselves or outside of yourselves. I don't know, either or. But personally, on my end, I'm really wanting to enjoy bringing out content, and I would hope to even have some of you join in. I know I've already asked I don't know, maybe 10,000 times or so, but fuck it, I'll continue asking until someone raises their hand. It's kind of boring talking on your own all the time, but if it has to be that way, then I'll enjoy it regardless. But in this podcast of Retrospect, I guess, I was watching the movie Dune, and it's not really a retrospect because it's a fairly new movie, but the book is pretty old, and I do believe that there's actually another older movie, so this is just a reinvigoration of the series, if you could put it that way. And it's a film which is done by what's his name again? Denis Villeneuve from Canada. And I actually did a film project on him, and I enjoy a lot of his work. I actually recommend that you guys watch his movies, Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. It is I know Blade Runner got a lot of negative reviews, and I personally found it very interesting. I mean, he has a very unique way of telling stories, and he has a very unique way of bringing in the elements of time and memory and dreams and how everything's interconnected, and he does it in a very, very awesome way. Especially in this movie Arrival, I definitely, I'm not an advocate for just sitting and watching movies. I mean, time is precious to everyone, but if you do have an odd hour or two, which most of us do get occasionally to spare, then I recommend you actually watch what I would actually deem very good quality movies, which are not rare these days, but in an industry that's, saturated by default because so much is coming out, it's hard to find something that's, really good. But I digress. Anyway, so the movie Dune, I'm actually not too full on with the whole story and everything, but basically they are like these royal families that, typical, aristocratic crap, but it's actually very well told, and I think it's actually reflective of a lot of the things we see today in our world. But coming back to it, you have these 3 different royal families, and basically there's a bit of a dispute between the 3 royal families in quotation marks over this planet, which has a very special commodity that is used for interstellar travel, if I recall, which is actually where like basically the main premise of the story takes place. And not only is this a unique, a unique element that is found there, it also happens to be like a drug, like space weed, but really, really heavy stuff, like heavy stuff. And the natives of this planet, they actually hold it sacred. And not only do they hold it sacred, but they hold the land sacred too. And so basically it's always kind of interesting because we've seen these narratives in history where we have conquesting nations that come into a land. Most Africans can empathize with this one, and they come in and they take the rare minerals, which and they don't really give back anything to the community per se, and basically it just becomes a warring ground for greed, but it's greed at the expense of the native people. So yeah, that's a very interesting part about it, is that these 3 royal families, one is already currently running it, and because there's a head like monarchy within the royal, like the 3 different royal families, so there's one ultimate decider. And so basically this one family that was currently running the operation on this planet, this desert planet, where the film takes place, basically they are clever. They choose to renounce the land and pass it on to one of the other rival families, in which they find the main protagonist. And so, basically, to end the dispute, they kind of like give away the planet, and they say, okay, look, we'll withdraw operations, we'll take our people, take our equipment, and it's all yours. And as long as the family dispute's over, all is said and well and done. So they do this, and then basically they get their fellow rival family to come and start up their operation for mining and exporting this rare material, rare element. I forgot what they called it again. Sorry, it's like super vague with it. So you have to watch the movie because I can't spoil it. But yeah, and basically they invite them, and they use that as like a ploy to kind of bring them to take all their resources away from their current like home planet where they occupy, and they basically do like an attack on them, and the movie kicks off from there. But I'm not going to get into anything further than that. What I was going to talk about though was a lot of the amazing concepts like that you see in the movie about how we have you always have this globalist expansionist agenda essentially, and it's always like insatiable amounts of greed. It's incredible, right? Because and it's always funny because it happens in a point where the natives are always so desperate, because they're technologically maybe ill-equipped, or they're just overwhelmed, by military might, so they have to forego their possessions and they have to kind of bend over and take it from, these oppressing people who have no appreciation for the land and its resources and the kind of the way of like life of the people native to their place. Obviously, which they don't have to, right? Because really, for them, it's just business, right? And at the end of the day, it's about how much in and how much out. So there's a lot of it in that movie that you can actually see in how things have happened in our world, such as the Spanish when they went to South America, the British when they came down here, the Dutch when they did their thing too. You always see similar elements, and obviously these films are actually always have a subtle like theme or thing that they want to talk about. But on top of that is, the movie isn't just based on this like political, I guess, like not, I don't want to say political, what's that word? I can't find it, but it's not just about the political nature of, conquest and, business and exploitation. It's actually much deeper. How Denis Villeneuve has his way of directing, if I could put it that way. He always uses three common elements as a foundation to his film, and they're always there, but it's never like regurgitated. It's always something new using the same elements. And so there's the nature of dreaming, there's the nature of time, and there's the nature of memory, and how it's all connected, and how life plays out is like a culmination of all those things. And so what you notice in all of his films, if you do have the time to watch them, is that the character all the characters are connected through these three different elements, but it's in such a way that it's so subtle yet so profound. It's like this person dreams about this person in the dream, and then they end up meeting each other in real life, and then events don't play out the way it happens like in the dream, or in like whatever the memory, but it's somehow still interconnected, right? And I think it's much more of a deeper reflection of the director's perspective on life, how things aren't like completely just linear. They are maybe spherical, like everything's connected, man. Sometimes when you have dreams about someone or something, there's a connection to it, right? A subtle connection, and maybe even a profound connection. And so he portrays the story in a non-linear way. It's a very cyclical way, and I think that's more reflective of how a story and narrative should be told, right? It's not, okay, this point A to B, this person meets this person, they fight, blah, 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 game over. No, it's like, whoa, this is actually just a much deeper thing. Like, you have to look at this from multiple angles, basically. It's like a multiple angle perspective on a story. It's like, and then within that multiple angle perspective, you have all these other subtle elements, which are generic, like, this person is doing this is his goal, this is his ambition, this is who his character is. And so basically, if you watch the movie Dune, you begin to start unpacking not just the story, but actually interesting elements of the character, and how the director has used those elements to build into his narrative of the story, right? So it starts off with a character and how the character is connected to memory, to time, and to dreams, and then it expands upon that, like, okay, maybe what are the nature of dreams, what's the nature of time, what's the nature of memory, and then more importantly, okay, what's the nature of this in relation to the plot as well, like, okay, this is happening on this planet, these people are doing XYZ, and these people are doing XYZ. And so it's really like a wholesome package of a movie, right? And not only that, for those of you who are, very, I guess, geeky, or, if you're like me and you like a bit of, I guess, technological ingenious or whatever, or even just not just technological, but like mythological, like spiritual, stuff in films. It's a very brilliant film, especially the spiritual element, man. There were some profound themes that were like, it's pretty transcendent for just a film. You're like, wow, these concepts are actually really relatable to life, man. It's not just something you watch and you just consume and you be like, okay, I just wasted 2 hours of my time. This is a film you can be like, okay, I wasted 2 hours of my time. But some of the things that I watched actually, they are relatable to my own experience as a person, and so there's some type of minimal value that I can extract from it. So I would recommend you guys watch it. The tech is super cool. The shots are incredible. I mean, I have no clue what camera they filmed that in, but I'm definitely sure it's worth more than maybe 3 years tuition to a really good uni. So yeah, man, it's definitely a good movie. Again, also, I always have to talk about the musical score. The musical score is done by Hans Zimmer, who did the musical score for Interstellar, for Inception, for Batman, for Superman, for so many movies I can't even count, even The Lion King and Gladiator and all those. So this guy is basically like a musical genius or musical god with a lowercase g, obviously. And it's amazing. The musical score is actually it was so good that I'm actually just listening to like regular music now. It's really good, and how it plays into the story, and the elements of, like, again, his elements of memory, of dreams, and of time. Man, it's just crazy how it's all synthesized into one perfect like product. It's really good. I think they filmed it somewhere in Abu Dhabi. I'm not too sure, but man, it was so awesome, man. It just makes you want to go to the desert, and even though you die of dehydration and everything, just being in those dunes and being immersed in absolute nothingness, it's just something about that movie that's really it's almost meditative in a way. It's a really good movie. It's not overwhelming. The action scenes are pretty cool, I guess, and the acting is really, really good. And that's typical of most of his movies. And yeah, I hope you guys maybe find some time to check it out, or if you have to hustle, stream it somehow. I'm not promoting it, just saying, it's tough out there. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you watched the original Dune film. Yes, you should actually watch the original one and see some of the comparisons and see how some of the scenes differ. It's actually pretty cool to watch. And then I'll add one more thing. It's not really a spoiler, but basically it's this one cool element that they added, and it's this thing called the voice. And so basically, if you speak something and you speak it with such an intent, people automatically follow what you say. It's crazy. So can you imagine the implications of that? Imagine people could just say something and people just do it automatically. That's actually pretty cool. That was one cool element to the movie, and the way they animated that, it was not animated that, sorry, the way they I guess portrayed it, and they directed it. It was just so fucking cool, guys. There's no other way to put it. Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. I'm now trying to give this as much attention and as dedication as possible, and I'll see what comes out of it. I'm always open to suggestions, as always. I know sound has been a major issue for a lot of people that have tuned in, and I guess I'm considering seeing if I can get the room soundproofed, because it's very hollow, as you can hear, and there's always an echo, and I can't get rid of it because this is where I'm recording out of, and so I kind of work with it for now. And I also would hope that some of you would be willing to hop on for the podcast interviews. For those of you that are comfortable using Skype, just send me a message on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever. And let me know. It could be a topic of any choice. And I'm also open to any recommendations of topics, but I'll be continuing with my podcast series as I started off last year. And I'm hopefully going to maybe even finish them off this year. So, thanks so much for tuning in, you guys, and hope you guys have a pleasant rest of the week, man. Peace.